You want to know what changed my life? Not becoming colder, not acting mysterious, not pretending I don't care. What changed my life was understanding detachment. Because detachment is not about losing feelings. Detachment is understanding that your peace should never depend on one person, one situation, one opportunity, and one outcome. So, detachment, Habibi, is when you're gonna stop forcing life. There's this big misconception about detachment. People think that people who are detached are cold, that they don't care, that they dismiss situations, that they are emotionally unavailable. But real detachment has nothing to do with all of that. Actually, detachment makes you kinder and makes you care more. Real detachment is calm and peaceful. You can deeply love someone and be totally detached. Because when you are detached from an outcome and things start getting hard in your life and you start getting hardships, etc., you'd say, okay, things are not going so well for me right now, but that's okay because I still have myself. And you already know that you are complete and whole within yourself. So you don't need anyone else or something else to complete you. And that's so powerful and amazing. And when you are detached, even when you're experiencing hardships, you know that they would eventually end and that your suffering would not last forever. People think that people who are detached are careless, but in reality, it is the opposite of that. Detached people trust. They trust God. They trust the timing. They trust the universe. They trust themselves. Because when you trust, you stop gripping to things so tightly and you allow yourself to relax and let go of what is not right for you. Because when you are attached, you are gripping to things and holding to things so tightly. And that comes from a place of fear. You are basically operating from lack and from fear. Have you not noticed that everything that you are very attached to and you are chasing, you end up by pushing it away and not having it by the end of the day? And I remember that I got a job opportunity 2 years ago that seemed perfect to me. And so I got so attached to that job opportunity that I started talking about it 24/7 to my friends and saying that, if I don't get it, then my life would end and I would get miserable, etc. And I want it so bad. So I ended up doing too much. I ended up sending too many emails, etc. And I started giving this desperate energy because I was so attached to the outcome of having that job that I ended up looking very needy and they rejected me. And today, 2 years later, from getting that offer and from getting that rejection, I realized that that job was never meant to be for me and that I actually did sabotage the opportunity by acting too needy because I internally did not believe that I had that job and that I deserved that job. And that's why I was so attached because we attach to things that we believe we cannot have. And it is a subconscious thing. So we realize it a little too late. I ended up sabotaging that opportunity because I was operating from fear, and fear creates resistance. And that's why I created a huge energetic resistance between me and that opportunity that I ended up pushing it away by being too attached. Desperate energy always pushes life away because you put that opportunity, that relationship, that outcome on a pedestal and you start obsessing over it and creating more and more resistance. Detached energy is quite different. Detached energy says, I know who I am, I know my value, and I deeply know that whatever is meant to be for me will enter my life and will stay. And ironically enough, things start flowing to you. Not because you manipulated the universe or God or whatever, but because your energy stopped coming from fear. Your energy now comes from abundance. Because your energy stopped saying, I need this thing to be complete, and turned into this thing, this outcome needs me. Then, usually, when you end up letting go and you look at the situation from a neutral point of view later on, You go like, oh, I was actually suffering so much in that situation. Why did I take so much time to let go? Detachment allows you to listen to yourself and to listen to your body again, because you would go, okay, this situation is making me feel certain bad things, certain bad emotions, but maybe life is not supposed to be that hard. Maybe I should just let go and live in peace. And I deeply believe that you were never supposed to force your soul into places where it felt unsafe, because peace was the answer all along. Detachment is basically accepting that whatever threatens your peace and makes you feel bad is too expensive. The most powerful forms of detachment is choosing yourself without guilt. And that's hard for so many people because, in this society, we have all learned that self abandonment is a form of love. We have learned to overgive, to overexplain, to force things, to perform for people in order to get that validation. Detachment teaches you boundaries naturally, not the aggressive type of boundaries, but the peaceful ones. You stop begging to be understood. You stop performing in order to get validation. You stop chasing and forcing connections. And you also allow people to be who they are. And that's so freeing. And when you are detached and you allow yourself to be yourself, you become very magnetic because you stop that resistance energy. And that's the ironic part, because life breathes again, because detached people are aligned people. I think that everyone in life is tired, not tired physically, but tired emotionally, tired from overthinking, tired from trying to force things, tired from trying to make things happen, tired of anxiety, etc. And detachment is rest. Detachment is knowing that whether you are chosen or not by someone, it does not increase or decrease your value. You were already worthy before they arrived. So whether they leave or they stay, you are going to remain worthy. You see rejection now as redirection, and you know that when you get rejected, it does not affect your value and your identity. And you stop taking things so personally, because detachment allows endings to happen without turning them into a story of how unlovable and unworthy you are. Because you deeply know that certain things were meant to end and were not meant to be for you, but it has nothing to do with you and your value. Certain things are supposed to end, and they either teach you something or they would give you something. Detached people deeply understand this and believe that lessons are gifts from God or from the universe. Instead of trying to resurrect dead situations, they let them go with grace, and not because it does not hurt them, but because they know that it will make them more mature, it will contribute to their growth, and that eventually something better will come. Let me tell you something important. Detachment is not emotional numbness. You still care deeply for people. You still miss people. You still cry sometimes, but you don't turn these minor situations into big situations, because your emotions in a detached state don't control your identity anymore. You witness your emotions without becoming them, and that's so powerful and so magnetic. Life becomes beautiful when you stop fighting it. When instead of asking, why is this happening to me, you ask, what is this trying to teach me? And instead of saying, bad things happen to me, you say, bad things happen for me in order for me to evolve, to grow, etc. So because life experiences are hard sometimes, and sometimes they pull you closer to yourself or they push you away from yourself. And detachment brings you back to yourself. Attachment helps you return to yourself, to your body, to your alignment, to your truth. Maybe that's why detached people glow differently, not because they don't care or because they are better, but because they learned to let go of things that they were not supposed to carry their entire lives. Detachment is waking up every day knowing that you are already whole with what you already have, not whole tomorrow, whole right now. So you start becoming more present, and you love better, you choose better, you attract better. And instead of asking life to complete you, You start experiencing life and you start living your life, and somehow that's where things start going your way. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and see you next